and welcome to our training session on the express entry system for Canadian immigration. Today we will cover the essential aspects of express entry, including eligibility criteria, the application process, and the key concepts to ensure you can effectively assist our clients. So let's dive in. So today we will be discussing about the federal skill trade program. So this program specifically is for the skilled workers who works in a qualified skill trade. So what does the skill trade means? Like basically, if they are for example, if they're a plumber, welder, electrician, mechanic, they are considered as under the skill trade. So for there is a minimum requirements to be eligible for the skill trade program. So skill trade program work experience. Okay. So for the skill trade work experience, you must have at least 2 years of work experience, full time work in the last 5 years in the skill trade. Okay. And the skill trade now groups are major groups 72, which is technical trades and transport officers and controllers, or general trades, the supervisors in natural resources agriculture, procurement natural resources and related occupation, processing, manufacturing, central control and process operator, cooks, butchers and bakers, and chefs. If we cannot show that the client has a genuine experience, right, or they have performed the duties which is mentioned in the knock code, then they will refuse the application. So there is a requirement of a job offer or certificate of qualification. So basically, the client should have a job offer of full-time employment for a period of at least 1 year, or certificate of qualification or skill trade issued by the Canadian provincial, territory, or federal authority. So to be eligible for the federal skill trade program, they should have a job offer from the employer who is willing to hire them after they get PR, right? Or if they don't have a job offer, then they should have a certificate of qualification. The federal qualification is granted by the federal or provincial territorial authority once the candidate passes the certificate exam. So every province has there is own requirements for the certificate of qualification. So it's a deep topic. So we are not discussing right now. But yeah, uh, certificate of qualification is from the provincial or territory authority, which is granted by them once the client passed the certification exam. Okay, they should be assessed by the each province and territory certificate of qualification, certificate process. Okay, so for example, if you want to immigrate to certain province which doesn't have certificate of qualification, in that case you should have a valid job offer from the employer, right? So at least minimum of 2 years work experience in a skill trade, and after that you should have a job offer or a certificate of qualification. Either one you should have to be eligible for the federal skill trade program. There is the other requirement, which is language ability. Let's see what is the minimum requirements. Federal skill trade program. If the candidate is English speaking, then for in English, in like speaking and listening, they should have CLB 5, and reading and writing is CLB 4. Because in trade, if you see, you have to speak or you have to listen. If you are a plumber, you don't need to read or write, so there is a less requirement of CL4. But there is high requirement for speaking and listening, because because that profession or occupation requires to speak and listen. That's what there is requirement of CLB5. And when it comes to education, there is no education requirement for the federal skill trade program. There is no education requirement. It's the same as academic experience class. So for that, if you have an education from Canada, you don't need an educational credential assessment. But if it's from outside Canada, then you need to have a VAS, which we have talked in the last previous videos. So proof of funds also we have discussed that you should have some kind of money as per the table given by the IRCC, depending on the family members you have when you land on PR to Canada. And if you are working in Canada, then you don't need to show the proof of funds. And if you have a valid job offer from an employer, then also you don't have to show the proof of funds. So there are two requirements. For example, if you have a work permit and you are working in Canada, then you don't need to show proof of funds. And the other thing is, if you have a valid job offer, then also you don't have to prove the proof of funds. And the admissibility is all about medical and police clearance certificate. You should be clear on medical and you should be clear on the police clearance certificate. Then only you are eligible for any program in Canada. So federal or provincial program, you should have a medical or police clearance. So federal skill trade program is pretty simple and straightforward. So basically, you should have like a client should have a work experience of at least 2 years, or full-time work experience in the 5 years. And it's not like a federal skill worker program that it has to be continuous. Like for example, in the last 5 years, client has worked for 3 years, but it was part-time. Then they can claim as a 2 years of full-time work experience. Okay, and these are the law groups which under which the client has have a work experience. Okay, you can detail research this. And the main thing is right here, job offer or the certificate of qualification. That's the basic and most important requirement for the federal skill trade program. You should have a job offer from an employer. If you don't have it, then you should have a certificate of qualification, which is issued by the Canadian provincial, territorial, federal authority. Okay. The language ability is it's different for speaking and listening, and it's different for the reading and writing. For speaking and listening, they should have minimum CLB 5. Writing and reading is CLB 4. Education is not a requirement for this stream, but if you have an education, the client can get more points in the CRA score. The proof of funds is you don't need it if you have a job, if you have a work permit, and you are working in Canada legally, or you have a valid job offer. This is the most common thing. Like you should have a medical and police clearance certificate to be eligible to apply under federal skill trade program or any other programs. You should have that basic that basic document, which is medical and police clearance certificate. The client should have. And so this is all for the federal skill trade program. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions for federal skill trade program. We can discuss in the group. Thank you.